I'm a representative of the Kaurna people from the Adelaide Plains here. Anyway, I'd like to take the opportunity to welcome you all to country.
The one thing that I suppose I've been impressed by is the way in which South Australians have engaged in this process. And not just the numbers that have engaged, but also the way in which they've asked insightful questions, raised legitimate doubts and concerns and expressed their views so clearly. And they're things that the state can't address in isolation. That's why we're working closely with the federal government to ensure that we're in a position to create opportunities for South Australia and indeed the nation. And that is essentially why we've invited you here today. As leaders in business, industry and academia, you're critical to ensuring the South Australian economy remains dynamic, innovative and flexible. We want you to help us lead the way into this high-tech future we imagine for the South Australian economy.
Over the last 5 to 6 years, South Australia has developed close international partnerships with other uranium mining jurisdictions. We've learned a lot more and distributed a lot more information around elements of the uranium mineral systems that we have in South Australia and the relationship and the connectivity to other uranium mineral systems around the world.
From a global perspective, we look at South Australia as a uranium-friendly state. Another good point is that there's a port facility, one of the 2 licensed port facilities to export uranium product out of. So there's a bit of shipping cost savings to be had there from a practical sense.
The mining industry is notoriously cyclical, and it's not just the uranium industry, it's the entire mining industry. And I think all of the advantages that we've just heard about for South Australia position us well with respect to uranium. You want to have an industry that's actually sustainable through those cycles.
The need for dense, low emissions energy sources is becoming more and more acute every day. The idea that nuclear and uranium is not clean and green is a dwindling idea.
There are so many opportunities for innovation across that whole fuel cycle. We actually have to say is let's take a problem-based approach, an opportunity approach, and say who are the players that we need to bring together to solve this, local, national, international, very strong end-user engagement so that we're actually doing research in the context of its application. And it's going to need very effective technology transfer from our universities because they are the powerhouse of research in Australia, as well as organisations like CSIRO.
It's an exciting part of being involved in the nuclear fuel cycle is the opportunities for lateral migration of your businesses into areas where they've developed expertise to take that expertise into new markets. There are opportunities in transport and logistics. There are opportunities in better waste forms. There are opportunities in new types of engineering solutions. It really is underpinned by deep skills, great engineering, highly regulated industries. I think South Australia has got a fabulous engineering culture and knows about highly regulated industries. So there's some natural synergies.
And it is a new industry. It is an opportunity to create a new industry, and it is really targeting the high-tech IT end. What it does need is access to information, access to skills that are in fact quite transferable outside of the nuclear industry as well.
South Australia has the ability to eventually produce almost all of our energy from clean and renewable sources and export this energy to the rest of Australia if we can establish the right national energy and climate change framework. The Royal Commission made specific findings on potential benefits that nuclear power may offer to a low-carbon system.
So, ladies and gentlemen, time to get back to work and progress to the next working group discussion.
The government and the state should invest more in base load alternative technology, like the proposed solar power station in Port Augusta would be a base load station.
Well, maybe there's something, maybe investors in companies are looking for green energy usage. I don't know how strong that driver is in industry in Australia. It obviously is important in Europe.
A nuclear waste management industry would be an industry that will be around for well over 100 years, generating billions of dollars per year for South Australia. Direct employment at its peak would be more than twice that of the shipbuilding programs at its peak. This would be an entirely new sector in South Australia. It would require a well-planned and coordinated industry development program to ensure that the benefits from this opportunity were ultimately delivered to the community in South Australia.
The wonderful thing about ANSTO is that we love waste. A lot of people think waste is a really bad thing. We think it's part of the life cycle, what we do, and so if you can't enjoy what you do, you shouldn't be doing it. So we do love waste, and we think that waste is part of our obligations, but it's something that we must learn to do really well and to do with top quality outcomes and to do it in a way that builds confidence in our communities and builds confidence in our society more broadly.
We are also the oldest mainland population, and this is partly because we're losing young people, fuelled by the lack of current South Australian economic and employment opportunities, the so-called brain drain. The challenge for all of us is to ensure that the renaissance of the vibrancy that we've seen in Adelaide in recent years is complemented with business and job opportunities for young people so that they do not feel they're obliged to go elsewhere to seek employment and a career. We need to aggressively chase opportunities for growth and new industries in order to avoid this genteel decline.